following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangy coming to you with a review of my first review of the figure from the Transformers Legacy United line. And from what I've seen on Amazon, out of all 10 of the Legacy United Wave 1 action figures that have been released, this is the one that is the most sought after. It is the latest action figure of the Autobots' heroic leader Optimus Prime, and this is the Transformers Legacy United Animated Universe Optimus Prime. So this is the first modern take on Transformers Animated Optimus Prime ever since the original Transformers Animated line of action figures ended back in 2009. Yeah, it's pretty impressive looking. Got some nice artwork of Optimus Prime's alt mode, the fire mode, which is a fire truck. You got Optimus Prime there in his robot mode. Sorry, I can't get much light in there to get a close-up look on his face, but it's identical to the face of his artwork here on this side of the box. You've got some the same artwork of Optimus Prime's face, but it's zoomed out to show his robot mode, and he's wielding his battle axe. Coming around here to this side of the box, you've got half of the poster image for the Transformers Legacy United line, which the current year 2024 marks the 40th anniversary of the Transformers franchise. So there's the 40th anniversary logo right there. And on this half of the poster image for Legacy United, you've got animated Optimus Prime, of course. You've got animated Bumblebee. You've got Rescue Bot Chase. You've got Windblade 8 here on the top. You've got Megatron, who's going to be the Commander class figure for Legacy United. Amazon has him street dated for release during the month of July, which is 6 months away. Then you've got Armada Megatron, who was released last year in Legacy Evolution, and then you've got the upcoming Titan class figure of Armada Tidal Wave, who can combine with Legacy Evolution Armada Megatron, just like the original Armada figures. And you've got some Autoplanet out there hanging besides Tidal Wave, and so that's the half of the poster image for Legacy United. Oh yes, and then of course you got some of the new armorizers over here in this corner of the box. So coming on to the back of the box, you've got your product photos. You've got animated Optimus Prime in his robot mode and in his alt mode of a fire truck. And it is, by all accounts, supposed to be a fire truck, but like most Optimus Prime incarnations, animated Optimus Prime, as the Transformers animated cartoon continued to punch out episodes, Optimus Prime's trailer, which made up the bulk of his fire truck alt mode, ended up disappearing, and basically Optimus Prime ended up being a semi-truck without a trailer and having a light bar siren on his roof. So he was basically a fire truck that was just a semi-tractor cab. And why in the world they didn't just make him a semi-truck, some of you are asking. Well, the theme in Transformers Animated was that the first batch of Autobots who arrived on planet Earth at the start of Transformers Animated, they all took on emergency response vehicles for alt modes. Optimus Prime was a fire truck, Bumblebee was a covert undercover police car, Prowl was a police motorcycle, Ratchet an ambulance, and Bulkhead was a police SWAT team unit truck done in army green instead of the normal navy blue or dark black that SWAT trucks are typically painted. So yeah, that's why Optimus Prime was a fire truck instead of just a semi-truck. Why in the world they couldn't keep Optimus Prime's trailer and have it used for additional fire rescue tools that Optimus Prime could use to fight off the Decepticons is your guess is as good as mine. But it was one of the gradual, for lack of better vocabulary, WTF moments of Transformers Animated was that the only part of Optimus Prime's fire truck that appeared most often was the front tractor cab section. So yeah, there's Optimus Prime in his alt mode, transforms back and forth between 25 steps. Sorry if I repeated that. But yeah, that is Transformers Legacy United Animated Universe Optimus Prime inside of his box. So now that we've looked at him inside the box, let's take him out of the box and take a up-close look at him in his robot mode. Alright, and so here is Transformers Legacy United Animated Universe Optimus Prime out of his box, and he is pretty impressive looking. Out of the box, his knee joints are a little loose, so hopefully that's just a problem with my copy and it's not a universal problem. But yeah, he is pretty nice looking. Here's a quick 360 of his robot mode. As far as accessory pieces go, he does have his axe, which is accurate to its appearance in the animated cartoon. Light bar siren is detachable, so it's another accessory piece. But yeah, overall, I'm really thrilled with how he turned out. One very minor nitpick that I have is I wish the shade of blue plastic used on his blue parts was much darker. In some of the stock photography, it had it almost being the same shade of blue as Generation 1 Optimus Prime. And in the Transformers animated cartoon, it was a very bright, vibrant blue. I think they made it a lighter shade of blue because in the Transformers animated cartoon, in a lot of scenes, the animated characters were depicted having very shiny, metallic, reflective paint on them. The actual parts of Optimus Prime that are paint, such as the black and silver bits on the sides of his arms, they are shiny because it's paint, but yeah, you get the idea. I kind of just wish they would have made it a lighter shade of plastic. Another minor nitpick I have is that the wheels are unpainted black plastic. I wish they would have done the hubcaps silver to make it look like he has actual hubcaps and tires. Especially considering that, as far as I'm aware of, every one of the original Transformers animated Optimus Prime action figures did have the wheels painted silver. Kind of wish that they would have done that. Add on the paint budget. I just painted the wheels up. I might do them myself. I don't know, but yeah, that's just a very minor nitpick that I have here. He does stand a pretty great 8 if you can get the ankle rockers lined up together. Unfortunately, his legs can't really he can't really stand completely erect due to the wheels here in the middle of his legs bumping into each other. But as far as articulation goes, his head is on a ball joint, so it can look up and down. He has the potential to spin 360 degrees left and right. Arms can rotate at the shoulder 360 degrees, but it's a ratchet joint, but it's very tight right out of the box. They can go out that far. Swivel joint in the bicep. Hinge joint in the elbow. It's actually a double hinge joint due to transformation. Wrist swivels, which is nice. A waist swivel, which is super tight right out of the box. And someone actually pointing this out in the review, but even though it feels like the waist can spin 360 degrees, it can actually only go rotate to the right side instead of the left. So basically Optimus Prime can only spin in this direction, but if you try and spin him to the left side like this, it will unpeg from the waist. So yeah, that is a little discouraging. And the reason why Optimus Prime's waist can only rotate to the right hand side successfully is it's a call all back to how the original Transformers animated Optimus Prime, he had an automatic transformation where you pushed a button and Optimus Prime's legs folded down, and then his torso spun in this direction from alternate mode 180 degrees around down to robot mode. And animated Optimus Prime, the original animated Voyager class Optimus Prime figure, had that spring-loaded transformation, and so the designers at Hasbro and Takara Tomy decided to do a callback to that automatic transformation on the original figure by having the waist only spin successfully in one direction. So that is, while it is a callback to a gimmick that the original figure did have, that did make it enjoyable, trying to replicate it without the automatic spin transformation by limiting the waist joint itself, no. Hasbro and Takara Tomy, you missed the mark on that one. That one, he can wield the X up and down, but it is a little loose, so I apologize, but I'm noticing now that he's out of the box. Animated Optimus Prime, he's not as great as I thought he would be. A lot of people are saying he's really great, but as you can just see right there, the axe doesn't really sit securely inside of his hand. That's because the space where it's actually a 5mm peg to go inside the 5mm port on his wrist, it's not that thin and it's not that deep, so you'd actually have better chance I was actually going to say you could have a better chance of holding the axe on one of the 5mm ports that's on the side of it, but nope, still equally as loose. Universal jointed hips, which are ratchet joints. They are soft ratchets, but you can feel them when you move his legs forward and backwards. You can go out this far, so he can't really do a full split due to how his hips are shaped. Thigh swivel, hinge knee. He does have a foot. He does kind of have a foot joint, but it's mostly a transformation joint, and he has ankle rockers. So yeah, that is Transformers Legacy United Animated Universe Optimus Prime in his robot mode, and I really think that we could have done without the callback to the automatic transformation on the original animated figure by limiting the articulation on the waist. And speaking of the original Transformers Animated Optimus Prime action figure, for a size comparison, here is Legacy United Animated Optimus Prime next to the original Voyager class Transformers Animated Optimus Prime, and as you can see, even without the axe weapons that they're holding, there is a size difference between the two figures. And the reason why on the original figure the axe is shaped the way it is because it actually transforms into the back section of Optimus Prime's alt mode. But yeah, spinning them around here, huge size difference between the two figures. And as you can see, this is what I meant at the start of the review about why one minor nitpick I have with the new figure is the shade of light blue that's used on him. As you can see it compared to the solid blue plastic used on the original animated Optimus Prime's legs. I think it would have been better if the shades of blue on both these figures had been the same. But yeah, there are just as many similarities as there are differences here. One thing to note on the original Transformers Animated Optimus Prime action figure is that there were a couple of scenes in the first 2 episodes of Transformers Animated where the Autobot logo Optimus Prime had on his shoulder actually disappeared. So in Hasbro's rush to get the Transformers Animated Optimus Prime action figure out on the market, at the factory the Autobot logo wasn't ampographed onto the surface of him, and so the original Transformers Animated Optimus Prime action figure is actually a factionless Optimus Prime figure. There is no Autobot logo on him at all, so the Legacy United figure finally having it, that's one thing it has that the original figure does not have. Another thing, something that the original figure has that the new one doesn't, is that Optimus Prime had a water gun stuck on the back of his vehicle mode, and he can hold it in his hand like a laser blaster, and it actually squirts water on it. It's an actual water gun. I've never used it as a water gun before because I didn't really find it a gimmick I enjoyed, but one thing that the original figure could do that the new one unfortunately has, I tried to do it off camera before I came back on screen. If you can position his arms the right way, the deluxe figure could actually do it better, but he could hold his axe with both hands. The deluxe animated Optimus Prime figure could do it, but I guess the Voyager one, I forgot, isn't enough clearance space on the arms. But trying to get him to stand up straight. Unfortunately, you have to angle Optimus Prime's legs in a way. And on the original figure, the legs are sculpted at a almost 45-degree angle, so you have to have his legs positioned like this, where he's kind of in like a heroic stance, ants pose, if you will. But in robot mode on the original animated Optimus Prime action figure, as you can see, here's the result of the automatic spin gimmick. As you can see, it locks in place if you spin it too far to one side. And that was the automatic transformation joint that the original figure's waist had. And so it is a shame that Hasbro and Takara did that callback to the automatic transformation on the original figure by having the new one able to only spin in one direction at the waist without the figure coming apart. I'm trying to do it on my own off camera just to see if I'm incorrect, and it can spin 360 degrees. I just did it, and lo and behold, it popped out. So let me know in the comments section if your copy of Legacy United animated universe, Optimus Prime is capable of rotating his waist to the left-hand side. If not, then you know the reason why. You now know the reason why it can't, because the original figure had an automatic transformation on it. But yeah, some of the similarities between the two, you've got the dual, I guess you could call it the slanted-eyed windshields, making up Optimus Prime's chest. You've got the headlights. You've got the 4 yellow circles on the black background with the silver outline. You've got the yellow parts on the pelvis. You've got the same paint layout, so to speak, where Optimus Prime's lower arms, head, and legs are blue. His torso and his shoulders and upper arms are done in red plastic. He has silver thighs, and then of course the wheels do end up on the legs, but as you can see on the original figure, the wheels had silver painted hubcaps, so yeah, I kind of wish they would have done that on the new figure. And one thing to note about the original Transformers animated Optimus Prime action figure is that back in 2008, when the Transformers animated line was in full swing, 2008 was was the year right before the United States economic recession began, and the economy in the United States began to sag. It was still going strong in Japan for a couple more years, but then just a few years later, the economy in Japan also took an economic downturn. So the point I'm trying to get is that in more recent years, Transformers fans keep grumbling about how Transformers action figures are getting smaller and smaller while the prices at the same time continue to go up. But if you were to time travel back to the year 2008, when the original Transformers animated line was on the shelves, that was one of the last years before Transformers action figures being downsized and getting smaller became common practice, and so one could argue that Transformers Animated was one of the last lines. It wasn't the very last, but it was one of the last lines of Transformers action figures where the Transformers figures themselves were still fairly bulky. There were no hollowed out parts, or as you can see here on the inside of the leg of the original animated Optimus Prime action figure, no hollow bits. The only hollow bit part he has is on his lower arms, due to how the hand just rotates into the lower arm and fills that gap when it's in vehicle mode. But if you turn the original figure around to the back, no hollowed out parts anywhere. This bit that looks like it might be hollowed out, it's all black plastic, and my camera's unfortunately not getting any light shining inside there to show. But yeah, this figure, the original figure, is quite bulky. But if you look at the new figure, there's hollowed out parts on the inside of the hip, and even though there isn't much hollow parts on the back of the figure, there are some right here below the knees, and there are on the lower arms here. So yeah, this was one of the Transformers Animated was one of the last lines before hollowed out parts became a common sight. And also, the average retail price for Voyager class Transformers right now is about $35. But back in 2008, Voyager class Transformers, the average price was still around $20. So yeah, 15 years ago, and my math is correct, no, 16 years ago, in 2008, $20 could get you this Optimus Prime action figure. Fast forward 16 years later to the current year, 2024, and you need $35 to get this Optimus Prime action figure. Now, if there's one gimmick I wish that the new figure had, I wish that Hasbro and Tomy would have kept the gimmick, the original figure's gimmick of this right here, where you could actually, there's a tiny little button in the back. It's cast in black plastic. If I put my finger in the back on, you can see the little lever right there. But the original animated Optimus Prime action figure, because in the animated cartoon Optimus Prime had as I drop him onto the surface of my table, because he had a retractable mouth plate, they incorporated that by having his mouth plate slide up and down on the original action figure, and I just wish they would have done that, found a way to do that on the new action figure here. But because the way the figure transforms, for clearance space, I recommend you leave the mouth plate folded out and exposed on the original figure when you get it transformed into alt mode. And so I've got a sneaking suspicion that later on this year we're going to get a second version of Legacy United animated Optimus Prime done in a paint job much similar to this one and having a different head sculpt with the mouth plate. I can totally see Hasbro and Cartomy releasing a second version of this figure to have a paint job and a head sculpt similar to the original figure. But without further delay, now that we've looked at these guys in robot mode, let's get them transformed into alt mode and wrap up the review. Oh yes, and one thing I forgot to point out is that the figure is capable of holding the axe in both arms, because you can extend the handle down, and now the handle is just as long as the axe we saw in the original animated Optimus Prime figure, so my apologies for that. Alright guys, so on my copy of Optimus Prime there was one part that was sticking in place and failed to transform properly. I don't know how my camera's going to pick it up, but if you look in there, in that little rectangular space right there with those 3 holes in that little transformation joint there in the middle, on that side it's perfectly nice, but on this side it's warped and out of shape, and it felt like I was going to snap this piece off, and I don't know how I'm gonna be able to show it to you guys since I have Optimus Prime transformed into his vehicle mode, but yeah, that joint right in there. Yeah, I don't know how you can see it, and if my camera's gonna pick it up, but yeah, that little joint right in there is all bent out of shape. So that's a horrible QC issue I found on my copy. So be mindful that all of Optimus Prime's none of his joints are warped out. I told myself that if I broke it, I was going to have to buy a new Legacy United Optimus Prime figure. So, unfortunately, due to the stiffness of the waist joint and that joint being bent out of shape, my copy of Optimus Prime is suffering some horrible QC issues right now. So, yeah, Optimus Prime, he's not turning out to be as great as I was hoping he would be. Alright, after proving to be much more trouble than it was worth, here is Legacy United Optimus Prime, animated Optimus Prime transformed into his alt mode. If I see another copy of this figure at my local Target store in the coming months, I might get another copy. Because that transformation joint being warped and bent out of shape, that really ruined the figure for me. So, yeah. Unfortunately, there are some, I can say from first-hand experience, there are going to be some copies of Transformers Anime Legacy United Animated Universe Optimus Prime that are going to suffer some terrible QC issues, such as transformation joints that are warped and robot mode articulation joints that will get stuck in place and pop off. So the hype has officially, throughout the course of this review, the hype I had for Legacy United Animated Universe has, it hasn't died off completely, but he's probably not going to be my favorite figure for Wave 1 of Legacy United. I don't know what figure is going to hold that title for me, since he's the first figure I reviewed, but yeah, with that transformation, with that QC issue of that transformation joint being out of shape, and his waist constantly popping off throughout the review, animated Optimus Prime, he is unfortunately, in my opinion, not the best figure from Legacy United Wave 1, so it stinks because there's all sorts of hype, and a lot of people's expectations were high that this was going to be the best figure from Wave 1 of Legacy United, since even though it's yet another Optimus Prime action figure, it's the animated version of Optimus Prime, which we haven't seen since 2008. But for the QC issues that my copy suffers from horrendously, I have to say that unfortunately the hype isn't all it's built up to be, especially when compared to the original Transformers Animated Voyager class Optimus Prime action figure. figure, the new Legacy United figure. I think a lot of the hype over it is a little too much done. For weapon storage, this is going by the instruction sheet and the photo on the back of his box. The only way to store the axe is to use the clear plastic 5mm peg right here on the top of the axe, the clear peg, and then storing it into one of the 5mm pegs on either of his two robot mode feet, which double as the back of the fire truck mode. It's recommended to do it on this side with the axe blade on this side and the handle pointing out to this side, because if you do it the other way, the blade of the axe hits the back of Optimus Prime's cab. So there's really only one way to store the axe, and it's shaped like this. I kind of wish they would have designed a 5mm peg here on the back of the fire truck mode, just to have the axe hanging off there on the back, or any type of other weapon storage besides this, just having it hang off the back of the vehicle mode, because yeah, that's really not that it's not that impressive at all. Because of how he transforms, the new Legacy United version of animated Optimus Prime has 6 wheels. These 2 smaller ones end up sitting inside his robot mode torso, and that was done due to the new complex transformation on this one. The original animated Optimus Prime figure, the reason why it only has 4 wheels is because front wheels on the original figure is detached, and then they flip down and they sit on the leg, and then the back wheel folds inside to allow clearance space, and that's how all the wheels ended up on the bottom of the leg behind the robot mode feet on the original animated Optimus Prime action figure. And so, due to the new transformation on the new Legacy United figure, they couldn't replicate that joint, so the solution was to add another pair of wheels on here to have all 4 of the regular sized wheels end up on Optimus Prime's legs. And again, even more so than the original figure, which had only 4 wheels, this one now having 6 wheels, it again, as I said at the start of the review, it makes him look more like a semi-truck that's pretending to be a fire truck rather than an actual fire truck. Because all you really have to do to turn the new Legacy United Optimus Prime figure into a semi-truck is to just remove the light bar siren from the roof. On the original figure, it's permanently attached to it. It's not removable. But yeah, if you were to take off the light bar siren, then by all accounts, Optimus Prime is now a semi-truck. He's not even a fire truck. Like so. If that one joint wasn't bent out of shape and it hadn't felt like I was going to break Optimus Prime when I was transforming him, then I'd probably forgive Hasbro and Takara Tomy for the waist swivel popping the legs off. But unfortunately, as far as giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down on animated Optimus Prime, the new Legacy United figure, I'm going to go like this and say it's it could have been a great figure. It could have easily been the selling figure for Wave 1 of Transformers Legacy United. But I think the title of Best Figure for Wave 1 of the Legacy United line is a 3-way tie, for me personally, between Leader Class Tigerhawk, Voyager Class Thundertron, and Deluxe Class Windblade, Cyberverse Windblade. They're currently my 3 favorite action figures. This guy was at the top until I took him out of his box and transformed him, but now that I've done that, compared to the original animated Optimus Prime action figure, as far as which of these 2 figures is my favorite out of the 2 of them, even though I've only had this figure out of the box and owned it for a few hours, at least when I transformed this figure, and I've had this figure since the year 2008, so I've had this figure for 16 years now, and it still holds up. It doesn't feel like any of the joints have aged poorly, and it doesn't feel like any of the joints are going to pop up and break. I'm going to give which of these figures is the better one. I'm going to give that title to the original Transformers animated Optimus Prime action figure. The original figure is still leaps and bounds superior compared to this new one. Some Transformers fans and collectors have said this on some of the figures that have been released in the Legacy line so far, where compared to the original figure that the new Legacy figure is based on, the new figure is supposed to quote-unquote be an updated/upgraded version of the original figure, but here for the Transformers animated version of Optimus Prime, this one feels like a downgrade, because this one easily has It has almost the exact same amount of joints that this figure has, and this one overall, all with the automatic transformation from vehicle mode to robot mode, which I apologize for not showing off. But yeah, I am definitely giving the original figure the title of the better of these two figures. This one doesn't feel like an upgrade, it feels more like a downgrade. So yeah, I am just as disappointed as you guys are knowing that this figure isn't as great as I had hoped it would be. But for the proverbial question, do I recommend getting a Transformers Legacy United Animated Universe Optimus Prime and adding it to your Transformers collection? I do recommend getting it if you're a fan of Optimus Prime and if you're a fan of Transformers Animated. If you have the original animated Optimus Prime figure that was released back in 2008, then this figure can be an easy pass due to the transformation being a little more complex and the lack of proper weapon storage for the axe. On the original animated Optimus Prime action figure, the axe forms the back section of the truck mode, and the axe blade forms this side panel here on that figure. So even though the axe is as cartoon accurate, at least there's proper weapon storage where it becomes a part of the vehicle mode. But yes, in my opinion, some of the Optimus Prime action figures released in the Legacy Evolution line last year in 2023, such as the Armada Commander Class Optimus Prime figure, which I still have to review, the Studio Series Gamer Edition Optimus Prime figure, those Optimus Prime figures, in my opinion, are better Optimus Prime figures than the Legacy United Animated Universe one. And unfortunately, you don't expect that we're living in an age where there are QC issues such as transformation joints that are warped and bent out of shape that make the figure difficult to transform and feel like you're going to break it. I thought that was a thing of the past, but no, it's not. So hopefully you guys won't get a copy of Legacy United Animated Universe Optimus Prime that's as bad as the one I got from Amazon. So I recommend you get this figure only if you're a fan of Optimus Prime and you're a fan of Transformers Animated. If you don't have the original figure, then this one is a decent substitute for the original one. But again, it's a 50-50 chance that you're going to have a copy of this figure that doesn't have any QC issues as bad as mine does. But I still do recommend getting the figure, but unfortunately it's no longer my favorite figure from Wave 1 of Legacy United, which I'm a bit of a shame since Optimus Prime is my favorite figure. So Hasbro and Takara Tomy, please make sure that the factories you choose to create your Transformers action figures that QC issues are checked on all the figures, so nobody else will have the same bad experience I did while reviewing this figure. So until next time, you guys, this has been the TFN Geek. Stay safe, stay healthy, and until next time, you guys, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.